That rippled one went into ground, into the SCPI controller on this. That's ground, that's voltage. And the voltage burned here, and voltage on that side is connected to ground. We put that inside, and the left one is the ground one, then that's voltage, and then there's DCM. And the two pins with voltage are connected to voltage and ground. From ground is connected to voltage, and voltage connected to ground. The volt here from the synchronizing bit is connected to ground here. I actually need, because of that little problem, a new water cooling system. The cable here burnt too. I don't think that's functional anymore. I have connected the two thermistors, and this one cool, no kiddings, but I can't connect that to the actual, oops, where's the cable there? There's the socket one, and that is supposed to go in the socket, but this one comes with these arrows, and the socket one has just one line. So these are not connectable, but I've connected these, and the arrow goes basically to the low side. The low side goes, the arrow goes to the low side, and on that I would need to twist it around 180 degrees. But I have had these thermistors inside, and have connected the fan system to sys fan out on ground voltage and DCM, and these 4 fans were connected. That fan was connected to that pin, and the synchronization 2 pins were connected from that fan back to the synchronization, back to the SCPI controller, probably that spot there where you read PWM. That's number two socket for PWM. On the right side for output, and that had output to the synchronization to hear that fan, but I've connected the cables not on PWM and DCM data, which I actually wanted to, but I have correctly used the ground and voltage pin from that adapter and the correct ground and voltage pin from ACPI to the cable to here. And here was on that side or that side twitched. Basically what changed was that these cables got twisted here, and from here to here was ground and voltage change. So theoretically I should have twitched that cable too, that would have worked, but it burned down. But the problem is the one with the line, that's the ground one, and I've put that on the side, and that was connected to the side too. Theoretically, that is actually on the ground pin. That is actually on the ground pin. Then it goes here. And then it's on the left side. Then the ground pin is on the left side, so it's twitched. But when you have it like that, it's on the right side. But the one with the ground is actually on the right side. So the right side is ground that burned down, and that is actually connected to the ground pin. But how did that happen? When I go like gradually on the idea of fans, I got here a connector where it says, so the upper one is ground, then there's voltage, then there's for DCM the data, and then is PWM data. And I connected the two pins correctly to ground and voltage, and to the ACPI to ground and voltage in the correct way. But I have the input already from there, and the input comes from ground, DCM data and terminal data. It has the data available from the CPU socket, goes to the ACPI controller. The ACPI controller has a connection to the power supply. The connection to ARGB is currently on that one. That's the connection for the ARGB, which is that one. The reset one was connected to the button I had earlier. That button was connected to the reset, but now when I turn on the system, the reset button doesn't change any mode, and I couldn't try that before because I started the computer and the cables initially started burning, and the remote control doesn't change the modes anymore too. I've exchanged the button out because the lights had problems. The rainbow of RGB worked, the normal standard mode, but no other mode. And it had like this, it turned rainbow, and then there was flashes inside. One flash, then in the same time where the RGB run normally, like the rainbow mode, and then there was one flash, then after 2 seconds or 3 seconds another flash. Similar spot about there. On there a couple places I've turned out the reset button, which was that power button I used, and then the flashes were gone. So the ARGB is connected to there, and the PWM is connected to PWM, to DCM data and ground. So that doesn't get any voltage from the controller, but it has all the data it needs, and it has a connection to the power supply. And I connected the two pins, which were possible to connect, to ground and voltage, to the outcoming, where is it? There, to the ground and voltage, and technically the ground goes actually to the most right one, which has also the ground like initials on, and the voltage goes also to the voltage. So theoretically that board has all the synchronization features from the that ACPI board gets all the synchronization features from the board and has synchronization from the main board guaranteed, and the PWM out from ground and voltage connected to the fan system, which were in row. That one was in connection to there, and the synchronization was to that one, I think. Yeah, it's that one. And the ground and voltage were correctly aligned, and that one gets all the synchronization features. I have the thermistors installed, but I can't guarantee if they are on the right side. But how these cables burned and nothing else, there's literally just the cables here burning and absolutely nothing else. The computer works normally better than before, even when the upper and lower and the back fan doesn't work anymore. Just that one works anymore. And I have these still connected inside, and the open pipes working. With the thermistors and the new ACPI controller, the system works actually better than before. And I've tuned out the power button because there is a failsafe of the PWM inside, of the just rainbow functionality and flashes, so the reset button doesn't work. And the ACPI controller has connection to the Super IO chip. The problem was with the old one, I should have it with that one, the Super IO went basically into a black cube. The Super IO had the ACPI controller initialized, but as a black cube, and there was no thermistor inside, so the Super IO didn't work further. Maybe that would have worked, I don't really know. But the problem is, the thermistors, which I bought on AliExpress, have actually the arrow and not the shark, which is needed, so I can put that into the controller right there. And I've looked at Case King. They sell the thermistors with the paper clip, just like the pins like that, so you can put them in. So theoretically you can eventually put them into that socket, but not necessarily. Maybe it's too thick. I didn't check on that, but should be able to put in these. But the others had basically the same connection, and I didn't check if they have the chuck or an arrow either. But the problem with that is the thermistor on the left side does actually activate the Super IO, and the Super IO has a socket interface for the ACPI, and that one cubed in, and that one made problems once the power button is connected to the reset, which makes sense. When these overheat, they usually destroy, and that one has a power currency protection service, which on some pins, just like the reset circulation, just destroys. So that ACPI controller, since I don't have any connections inside except the light bar and that device, which are connected to here, the normal ARGB connector here, where there is a PWM connector. I just use the ARGB one for that light bar and that one, which is together like interface. That one and that one is interface, and then it's connected to here. And there's nothing else here. I theoretically can use that SCPI fan controller like that, no problems, but there's no reset function, no differentiation function of the lights that always runs with the board settings. I can change the board settings, will probably look different, but I can't make these in red blinking or in pink or something. So the white case is in pink and that is in pink, and the rest of the board shines a rainbow or another function that doesn't work anymore. And I probably can't use some of these fans. Probably I can use the red one. Is it the red one? No, it's not the red one. It's on the other side. Yeah, that's a little bit weird. I don't really know what exactly releases, but I used for the PWM synchronization the one after the red one. So theoretically, I should be using these four just. These should be functional and the others should be rather not usable. But the problem is I have the two thermistors inside, so the PCI lane, it actually does work, since when I wouldn't have these resistors, the situation would be looking worse and eventually the power supply would have flamed, or the graphics card. That can happen. Or maybe when the power supply can't sustain it, then it gives it out to the graphics card, and the graphics card looks good. So the thermistors are earthing quite good. So these are correctly installed, but I can't actually install it there. I would need to put the arrow, like putting that away, so I can switch that app up and not rotate it, but because that would be the wrong composition. That's bad actually. But the thermistors do actually work, and the controller got all the data and the PWM out for ground and voltage to the synchronization of the 3 pins of voltage, ground, and DCM data were actually correctly installed. But since the thermistor is not installed on the place where the Super I/O activates, and the Super I/O has a hanger for the ACPI controller, the ACPI controller and the mainboard were not able to synchronize the currency for input-output. These ACPI fan connections are not just outputs, but here these basically are. But that board has actually the data. It communicates with the board, and the ground and voltage and synchronization as output actually resulted that these cables started burning off. But the problem is I can't figure out right now what the problem actually is. That is actually ground and that is voltage, and it's connected to ground and voltage, and the ground one actually burned. Usually when there is currency or something happen, the voltage burns. The voltage burns, or even sometimes the DCM data transmission burns when something is not synchronized right. But that system is looking wise ordinary, correctly installed, but ground and voltage are twisting here, but I don't see that. The input and output is the correct way, but it actually did burn there where the where the connection to the output was connected, so there is no data transmission of wrong communication, but it's directly ground and voltage were wrong, and these burned literally directly. Once I started the computer, it directly burned, so there's no data communication involved, so the ground and void was actually not compatible with each other from the output to be connected to the fans, which are connected to the input of the board. But the board, that's the place where these were connected, or No, that's the pump fan. These were actually connected to that one. I will zoom a little bit, maybe the picture gets a bit sharper. But I don't necessarily see if the board got any damage. I could see some like bad voltages and stuff, and that one got a hit, and that one reacted in security, but that one flipped. But the adapter itself doesn't look any bad if something burnt or something. When I look with the eye on it, it's nearly similar. It looks like that controller got actually over voltage on the lower 3 pins. The 2 pins below were high voltage, and basically the 4 could have been, but the how is it called? The white gamut and stuff is really bad here. These do actually look a little bit better, but that one not necessarily. I wouldn't even say that the, what is that, Introvonic, that chip actually overheated too much. Maybe it did, it probably did something, but the controller itself doesn't look as there's like damage a lot happening. And that's currently confusing me a lot, since I actually have the thermistors installed and the PWM system and the intelligent board system, where two thermistors are installed. The lower SoC and the upper SoC actually have communication to the thermistor, and the Super I/O does actually have a functionality working, but the two thermistors on the right side, not the main thermistor for the Super I/O, but the two ones on the for the SoC, which do have full control on the Super I/O, don't guarantee that the SPI controller is able with the main board to communicate PWM and DCM voltage and stuff in I/O communication. That's really confusing for me. So that did and does happen even when two thermistors were installed, and the voltage and ground is flipped on that contact like magically. And I have no clue how that works. I actually need four new fans. On the back side there's just 120 millimeters working, but on the front side I can put a little bit more, so I think that must be like for 340 millimeters. I need 4 new fans and probably a new controller. And a new water cooling system, since that one is actually burnt now. I have a CPU cooler system with 2 fans. When I would like eject like that water cooling system, that would probably work like normally with the 2 thermistors for the Super I/O, so I could use that, and the kernel does actually configure with the how is it called, ECX or something, the Rustland, Rusty and the other kernel configuration setups. With these, when there's guaranteed that the SoC can actually communicate with the Super I/O, which it does, but the Super I/O, the Super I/O, so the PWMs are also I/O, because the PWMs are actually output, but the connection technology is I/O, and the I/O doesn't address that, but the Super I/O does. And with that cooling situation, I could actually work the Super I/O and the I/O functionality chip so that the I/O is actually active and the super I/O like latent reactive or something. So like the super I/O feature of the board is like watching over the board, which would be cool, but I don't really want to eject the water cooling situation here. I really like that, and it's connected to the Easy Connect. The Easy Connector is a really good connection. I like that one, but one cable is actually burnt. One cable line. Not one cable, but one cable line, the synchronization for the Easy Connect. But the problem is, what did actually happen here? The problem is with the thermistors, these get sold, so they don't really function. I will have to look again, because the thermistors are usually sold for water cooling situations, so you can put these pumps and stuff in a barrel like that, and then the barrel has the thermistor inside, and the other side goes like further like into the system and stuff. And I will look if these thermistors, these which are inside, come with the shark or also arrow, or what standard they have, since these look exactly the same as the ones I have, but they are not applicable on the original spot for the Super IO with the shark, but the arrow. So I would need to have another. Theoretically, that board is made for 2 silver ones, but 2 copper ones and 1 rubber one will be working. I will need 1 more of these, but not with the arrow, or with the arrow like schmurgled away. But the problem is, even the thermistors seem to be like included in a twisted way. The arrows are actually on the lower side, but the system didn't burn up. But actually the ground to the voltage, which were correctly included, did actually burn. And I don't really know what does happen with the thermistors when they are switched. Maybe I have installed them switched and the PWM situation is actually correct, but it looked like the system did work correctly. It does work correctly when I started with the cables even installed. I deinstalled it after I've turned it out, and I've run the computer for like over 1 hour or 2 hours, and it worked normally. No like performance problems or RAM vision bugs or something, completely normal. And I don't really think that the thermistors are installed wrong. I think they are installed correct. But somewhere in the system does actually voltage and ground twist. And it looks like that these thermistors actually have a function where they actually also twist the currency, but I don't really see that. And that's a huge problem. I need 4 new fans. I won't be changing the water cooling for the Enermax ETS TD60D I have. I will use that for the system there and try if it runs. When it doesn't run, there's no sense in having it there, and I will probably change that, because I either ways have the fans on the wrong side connected. They pull like from air from above and push air down, and from the up there's heat radiating. I thought the heat radiating is that the fans are actually radiating the heat from the radiator out, but they actually suck air from above to inside the board, and there's still a heat radiating. That confused me. But the problem is, I actually need some informations and helpful help of how these thermistors actually work, because I installed them like that, and the PWM, which ground and voltage is correctly connected to the synchronization, burned up, while that board has all the synchronizations data available. Theoretically makes sense when the Super IO is not active. Can be that the IO of the PWM is just out, and there's double currency coming, and that burnt it up, but that burnt like way too fast. In the same time, I turned the computer on and it directly burned, and double the currency. I don't really know if that makes sense, but double the voltage does make sense. But I lost technology knowledge, and don't see the network of the cables that clearly if the voltage adds or if the currency adds. But the problem is, either the thermistors or the PWM solution have twisted ground and voltage. And I can't notice where the problem is. When I would connect these to the socket connection, which is like that, is the arrow is above, but it needs a shark and it doesn't fit in. But the others one, I put the arrow below and it does work correctly, but the system has voltage and ground twisted somewhere, but I think it is actually somewhere here at the adapters, actually there, where it magically inverts. Or in the ground goes currency, and in the voltage is also currency, so the ground did burn up directly because the ground function and the voltage did actually overlap or something. I lost a lot of electrotechnology knowledge, but I have a huge problem here. I don't really know how to solve that, and I need a thermistor more, but I don't really know where to get one to actually install it. Maybe someone here in the comments or something can leave a comment with a link or something where the thermistor works. I will be able to figure out how to get 4 fans myself. That's not the problem, and a new water cooling system next month. That's not the most massive problem, but I need the thermistor, and I need actually to know how to check if the thermistors are correctly installed. If that's possible, I don't even know if that's possible. Maybe it's not. But I would actually know to find out how the thermistors are checked if they are installed correctly. But because it seems that the system is correctly installed, but the PWM did actually burn up when it's correctly connected to output of the ACPI while it has input and output decked, and connected to the output of the PWM as synchronization. So there is like no data coming and electricity is still coming, and somewhere in the ground and data is a flip. And I don't really know where that comes from. It could be because I have the thermistors wrongly installed, but I don't really think that. I think these are installed correctly. But maybe someone in the comments can help me out and leave me a comment how to check if thermistors are correctly pole installed, and how to get a thermistor for that backside of the MSI board, which has a shark inside. And basically the same connectors as the normal NTC thermistors you can buy from 1K to 200Ks on AliExpress and stuff. So maybe someone does know anything of these systems, can leave me a comment of the device I could actually put right into there, and another comment of how I check these thermistors, if they are actually poled correctly. And maybe someone does actually know where the ground and voltage inversion comes, so I can actually defend myself from the inverting wedge and get my Super I/O chip working with the SoCs again. That would be fabulous, you know. So leave me 3 comments inside the comment bar, and I will figure out how to buy fans and install them myself. So peace.